Hello and welcome to my channel FaxaKnits. My name is Sarah and I am a knitter based in Germany. In this episode I want to show you some of my favorite shorties that I have made in the past. So this is the final episode, episode number 6 of my series of What Happened Before. The first shorty that I want to show to you is my snowflake shorty, which looks like this. Some of you might recognize the color work pattern. This is heavily inspired by the Engie design by Jennifer Steingasp. And I decided to knit this one on a needle size 5 and for the ribbing on a needle size 4mm. And I achieved something like a size medium to large with this. And I'm very pleased with the outcome. And I am wearing this one for the most part over a black long sleeve or over a black turtleneck shirt. And so this one has seen quite a lot of wear. And due to the fact that this is a very, very soft yarn, it already has a little bit of pilling. But with my depill razor, I can get along with this very nice. So this is shorty number 1, my snowflake kind of Engie mix design that I made, I think 2022. The second design that I want to show to you today is the Soldotna crop from Caitlin Hunter. So I knitted this one a few times, quite a few times, thinking of it, but I want to show to you 3 examples. And the first example is this one. This is the first example that I ever knitted from the Soldotna, and I chose to use the original color scheme, which for me turned out like this. I omitted the color work for the body, and instead I decided to dye my yarn in a way that it has a lot of speckles for the body so that I can get away with not doing the color work all over the body. Also, I decided to do a little color work trim here before the hem, so that I think everything is a bit more put together. And so, yeah, this is it. I knitted the size number 2. And yeah, I think for this first Soldotna, I made no modifications to the pattern except for this little color work here at the hem and omitting the color work for the body. Other than that, I stick to the pattern. I used the needle size that was recommended, which is needle size 3.75mm, and for the ribbing 3.25mm. For my following Soldotnas, I went up a size to a needle size 4mm, and for the ribbing the needle size 3.5mm. And yeah, as I said, I dyed the yarn myself. This is the DK base from Schmusewolle, and I think it turned out pretty good. I would have liked to see that the both turquoise colors were a little bit more different. I mean, the dark one could be a little darker so that I have a little bit more of a contrast. But for the light turquoise, I really, really like the outcome. And also for the dark brown and the rosy color. So that is it. My first Soldotna shorty. The second one looks like this. And as you can probably tell, right from the beginning, I chose to knit a size 3 for the yoke and then go down to size 2 for the body. So for my taste, the yoke with size 2 is a little bit too snug around my shoulders. I have quite broad and edgy shoulders. And so I decided I want to go up a size. I dyed the yarn for this one myself. It is also the base by Schmusewolle. And my color scheme is inspired by the color scheme that I saw on the Soldotna example from Woolenwine, from Christine Lehrer. And I found this very, very beautiful. And it reminded me a little bit of Tutankhamun's mask, the pharaoh mask. And so I decided to try to dye my yarn a little bit close to this, not really the same, but close to this. And I wanted my main color to be a little more variegated because I decided to again omit the color work for the body. And yeah, show you the back again. This is my second version of the Soldotna crop. And finally, the last one looks like this. I wanted to knit myself a version also for the yoke size number 3 and for the body size number 2, but do a color scheme which is a little more subtle and not that vibrant to use it on a regular daily basis. And so I went with some neutral, natural colors, 2 types of green, which are not that good of a contrast, but I think from afar you can tell. And I decided to do a modification to the hemline. I wanted to incorporate all of my colors in the hemline to make everything more cohesive. And I think this turned out very pretty. I dyed this yarn myself, and for this one I used a base that I ordered by Supergarne and not by Schmusewolle. And I think that this has a lot more drape to it, but I like both yarns very much. This is also DK, and it also has the same like weight and yardage, but to me this is a little smaller, not smaller, thinner. The strand is a little thinner, and so you have a more loose gauge. But with this piece, I think the gauge is very nice because it gives a lot of drape to the fabric. And so this is my third version of the Soldotna crop by Caitlin Hunter. Design number 3 for today is also a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. So this is the Kevet top by Caitlin Hunter. Also show you the back. I had to cast on this pattern immediately after I saw her release post on Instagram, and I absolutely loved the idea and the overall design of this Kevet top. And so I decided to immediately purchase the pattern, purchase some yarn, and went to put my hands on this one. So I knitted the size number 2, and I used the recommended needle size, which is 3.75 millimeter for the body and 3.25 millimeter for the ribbings. I used some fingering weight yarn, and I dyed 3 skeins. First skein was this light mauve color for the color work, and then 2 skeins for the main body. I decided to do some kind of tonal yarn because of the fact that this is an overall lace pattern, and I did not want to take away too much attention from the lace by doing a heavily variegated yarn. And so I decided to go with a more subtle and more only a little bit tonal yarn. So this is the final outcome. I really like this pattern. I knitted this one 2 times. The second time was a light green version with some dark green and red in the color work. But I decided to give this one to my mom because the second one that I have knit, I knitted the first size. This is the second size, because I found this one to be a little broad for me. So you can see this is really wide, but the second example came out way too small. And so my mom is a lot smaller than me, and so I decided to give this one to her, and she really, really loves it. And so I am with this only one, and it is really loved. So yeah, my Kevet top by Caitlin Hunter. The last thing that I want to show to you today is design number 4, which is this one. This is called the Forest Darkness by Bohus Stickening. And I did this one very, very modified. So originally, this is a pattern for Angora yarn, I think, and it is knit on needle size 3 and 2.5, really, really small. And I did not want to do that. And so I decided to go up a few needle sizes to my favorite size, which is needle size 4 and DK weight yarn. And so I grabbed the pattern and I tried to modify it so that it is narrower and also shorter, and still keep the overall idea of the pattern. So the overall idea of the pattern with the Bohus designs is to incorporate some purl stitches into the color work, so that you have a more of a fade between the two colors. I will bring this closer to you, so hopefully you can see all of the purl stitches that are incorporated into this design. And I absolutely love the idea of this design. So as I said, I used the needle size 4 for this, and I used a lot of leftover sock yarns. And for the main color, I used random black sock yarn. I have no idea what sock yarn it was, but I remember to have bought this for this pattern. These colors are only leftovers, and I held this double to achieve gauge, but still it came out a little bigger than I thought. But that was okay, because I had intended to wear this as a shorty above a turtleneck or something. And to bring it in a little bit more, I decided to do some waist shaping here on one side and also on the other side. And so everything turned out quite well. This has one point that is bothering me, and it is my inability to do math. And so we have this situation going on the back. As you can see, the pattern is interrupted. And so I decided to just go with whatever happens and just knit on. And so we have this weird column in the middle where I did not have enough stitches to do a whole new repeat, but I had too many stitches to just skip this piece. If I were to do this again, I think I would just make everything a little smaller. But at the time that I was doing this, I decided to just go with it and have this little situation going on. These are the little mistakes that make everything quite unique. And so this is my very, very modified version of a Bohus Stickening Forest Darkness sweater. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I did. Please let me know if you have any comments or feedback for me. I wish you all a peaceful time, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye!